How y'all doing? Good.
If you got your phones, please stop. All right. Coach, give them a statement, then we'll go.
Oh, it's game week. Enough said with that. It's time to get ready to play football. We're getting ready for Hampton right now. It's going to be an exciting weekend, though. Big game in the vet. We get to open up at home against another FCS opponent. You know, they're a good football team, got a lot of new faces. But it's all about us. You know, we can control what we control. If we go out there and play good football, we'll be good to go as a football team. So we're looking forward to it.
Happy New Year, Coach.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
What is the biggest way that you think your team this year is different from last year in your eyes?
Those seniors from last year are gone. You know, we added a few new pieces. Some guys are going into year two that were freshmen last year. You know, that's going to play an intricate role for this football team going forward. We added a handful of transfers that we're excited about, ready to see play some football. But 2024 was a special year for us. You know, it's a national championship year, and this team right now has a lot to prove. You know, you talk about a team that's ranked #1 in a lot of polls right now for the HBCU program. So I talk to the guys about it all the time. We can't talk about what last year was. We got to go prove ourselves this year.
You talked about the transfer portal, and I know you said you talked about recruiting going all the way back to December.
Yeah.
What is that process like of getting guys to come in and, you know, jump right into like kind of like a fast-moving conveyor belt where you guys are full speed ahead,
Yeah.
just won the HBCU national championship, and you want these guys to get right into things week one. What has that process been like, getting them, these new transfers, into the culture, into the system?
It's about really getting the right ones. You know, you talk about Shamar Savage, Nate Rembert, Cam Silas. It's about getting the right ones, and then once you get them in here, it's about the guys that were on last year teams that know the culture and know how we do things, and these coaches preaching the everyday goals and the things that we want to do in order to be a good football team. But we do a really good job here of going out and just getting the right guys, no matter the program, where they're coming from, are they a good fit for our team.
I would say there's the general excitement of getting the season started and getting to match up against another team, but what kind of more specifically are you looking forward to with getting your team out there for?
That's true. What we're going to look like in 2025. You know, we've been going at it all summer long, all through training camp. And they've been beating each other up, you know, the coaches as well. So it's time to see, you know, what we look like against some different competition, you know, how our football team prepares, how our coaching staff prepares, you know, as far as the scouting reports and getting the plan together to go win a game. So this game this weekend is going to tell us a lot. Are we in shape? You know, we kick off at 2 o'clock. It's going to be a little humid. They talk about a little cold front coming through, but it's different out there in football games, you know, so it's a lot going on this weekend that's going to give me a lot of answers come the end of that fourth quarter.
Coach Taylor, with Hampton not being a swag team, how can this challenge your team and push the program to compete on different levels?
We're just going to, like I said, that's the first game. Regardless, they got to show up. We got to go play the game. I'm not looking at where they coming from or who they are. Like I said earlier, it's all about us as a program and how we go out there and execute. Play with energy, play with effort. You know, those are things that matter to us. When we're playing our A game, and we do feel like we got a good football team here, but when we're playing our A game, it doesn't matter who's on the other sideline. We just got to take care of the football and just not do things that get us beat, you know, penalties and things like that.
We talked last year about just a lot of the injuries that happened, and, but this year you get a lot of those guys back.
Yeah.
How big is that to have them just return after a season where maybe some guys that we would usually see on the stat sheet were absent, and now they're, you know, right back into their roles?
I mean, depth is everything to a football program. We feel like we got a solid 2 deep, at some positions 3 deep. And you saw that, like you talked about last year when we lost quite a few receivers. You know, our depth got us through that last season. But, you know, that's just how we recruit. You know, we want guys to be ready to play. We ask freshmen to come in here out of high school. We do a good job of developing those guys. But that the depth is what gets you through December. You know, we talked about October, November, December, those latter parts of the season. That's what gets you through when you're able to have good quality depth.
Coach, obviously game week, I can imagine the excitement in the room.
Obviously, you want to control that, though. You want to be excited for this first game. How do you control that and not let emotions get too high for this season opener?
That's something we like as a program, though. I like those guys with that high energy level. Our scouting report meeting on yesterday, we had a DJ in here on yesterday. The energy was at an all-time level, but that's something we pride ourselves on. I want these guys to play carefree and go out there and get it, and let them. They understand that this is what they've been working themselves towards this game this weekend. You know, we're going to take them one game at a time, but that's something that I don't want to take away from them. But then the things that you said, though, you still want to play within the game and understand it's not about you as an individual. It's about us as JSU football, the Tigers. You know, the entire program.
And last time I got to talk to you was after the first scrimmage. You talked so highly about the offensive line. In the last few weeks, what have you seen in that room, and as well as other position rooms, and improvements specifically?
Just consistency. You know, they've been solid as a group. They're big, they're physical, they can run, they're athletic, and it's a lot of them. It's a lot of guys on that offensive line that can really play football. But I think I got the best O-line coach in the country, and Coach Manny Ramirez. He's been doing a great job. He's patient with them. He's done a great job of developing the young talent that we have in that room. But it's everything that you want in the offensive line. And with us, we talk about running the football and playing with physicality, and they allow us to do that.
In what way do you feel like this year's team can be better than last year's? The goal is always to grow, like you say, but after a year like last season, what areas do you see that growth being able to happen in?
We're going to be better as coaches. You know, we had quite a few first-year coaches last year, players as well. You know, talk about like Travis Terrell. He was just a freshman last year. Just talked about Coach Manny, his first year last year as an offensive line guy. So, you know, this is kind of a year of growth right here now, because so many people, it was just their first time here in this program, but now they know when the clock strikes in the morning, the layout of the day, they know the routine of the program. So, you know, you got the quarterback coming back, Jacoby Morgan is still there, Jonas Fortillion, the two linebackers, Reed and Ashton are still here. Jeremiah Williams, who I think is probably one of the better defensive players in FCS football, is still here. So, you know, I think sky's the limit for this team and this program.
And getting into the scouting for Hampton, what are some of those initial things that you've seen from them and takeaways from watching film?
I don't know. You know, their roster is completely new. You know, they got so many new pieces over there. But we're figuring it out. You know, schematically, you look at what the coaches love to do, you know, for their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. They're a young football team. They got a lot of freshmen and sophomores that they're relying on. I think only 4 guys that played meaningful snaps are coming back on the defense. So the quarterback is different. It's just a lot of new pieces over there, and that's what I mean when it's about us and how we play the game and go out there and execute.
It's week one, coach. Y'all don't have, you know, too much tape out there for people to see. What can fans expect for the season opener?
Speed. You know, we're going to play speed with a lot of speed, physicality, and I think you're going to see a well-coached football team in all 3 phases. Starting with the special teams, we got some guys that really are committed to going out there and being another top special team unit in the conference, in the country. Offensively, you know, we hang our hat on running the football, but we got some guys that we added to this equation that's on that perimeter that are going to be exciting. You talk about Janalen Dupree, and I talked about Nate and Savage, Jonas, all those guys are back. So we're excited about them. And defensively, Coach Quinn has gotten those guys flying around. So it's up to us to go out there and just execute it, no matter who the opponent is this year. And, you know, I think if we're doing those things the right way, we can have a really good football team.
Coach, who are your biggest influences on you as a head coach? Who have you picked up stuff from, you think, the most?
I talked to a lot of people, but Doug Williams. You know, Doug Williams, I talked to him, you know, just try to pick his brain on everything. He's been successful in HBCU football, and now he's over there with the Commanders doing a lot of good stuff. So that's somebody that I really lean on and talk to about certain things, and, you know, day-to-day operation, and, you know, what is he does he think I'm doing things the right way sometimes? So that's one name that jumps out to me.
Have you, I forgot, who did you play for here? Who was your head coach?
Big Daddy, yeah, James Carson, and also once Big Daddy passed, it was Judge Robert Hughes. Yeah.
Anything else?
Did you pick up much from Big Daddy?
Work ethic. You know, he was a grinder, loved the game, held us accountable as players, you know, on the field and in the classroom. And then that expectation to win. You know, we pulled up in those days and you expected to get off the bus and the game was already won. Same with Coach Hughes, you know, the same deal. And the things that I talked with about this football team, the things that you saw last year, the physicality piece. We were a physical football team when I played the game under those guys.
What would you consider a successful encore to last season? I mean, y'all achieved an awful lot last season.
Well, we talking about chasing greatness now. You got an opportunity to go back to back as a national championship program, and that's kind of unheard of. But we know it's going to be tough. We're marked on a lot of people's calendar. We had a lot of wins. We beat a lot of people last year, and we got to see those same teams this year. But we got to start with an East Division championship, SWAC championship. But that's what we're chasing right now, greatness. For those guys to get another opportunity to go play for a national title, that would be awesome for the city of Jackson. Thank you.
Appreciate everybody.
Appreciate y'all. All right, thanks.